Hello, pet parents and pet lovers. Don't you wish sometimes that there was some way to know what your dog feels or a way to actually talk to them? Well, if not in exact words, we are here today to decode some of the ways in which your dogs communicate with you. This is Niharika from PetFed India, your host for today. And as promised, we are here with a much awaited topic of discussion understanding your dog's body language. And joining us today is our expert guest, Mr. Karthik Ramasubramanian, a certified international dog trainer and behaviorist. For those of you who don't know, Karthik is currently the owner of the Urban Pet, a multifunctional pet care center in providing pet products and accessories, pet grooming services, training, and vet care are all under the same roof. He's also been awarded the most inspiring dog trainer by Canine Skin Care for his passion and work in the field of dog training. Hi Karthik, how are you?
Hey, hello, hi Niharika. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well too, Karthik. So,
Yeah.
while dogs may not be able to speak, there are quite a few ways in which they communicate with us. And with his expertise in dog behavior, training, body language, and emotions, Karthik is here today to help us understand just how communication works in the dog world. People who are watching us, please feel free to drop in any questions that you may have regarding our session on decoding how dogs communicate through their body language, and we will surely answer them all for you. And just like last time, we are also running an interesting trivia contest today during this live session. So we will be asking the audience three questions throughout the session, and three lucky winners who answer all the three questions correctly will win a gift hamper from Purina Pro Plan. So stay tuned to this chat as the trivia questions will be announced in the middle of this entire 1 hour session for you to answer in the comments below. The winners will be announced at the end of the session. And till then, let's address a few common queries our pet parents may have in mind regarding this topic. All set, Karthik?
All set, all set. And first of all, thank you. It's a good opportunity to address a big audience. And I think it's a very interesting topic. I have a lot of clients of mine constantly asking me questions on the same. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. Okay, so I think let's begin our session with the very
Let's
first
go.
question that we have. Starting with the most pressing question, Karthik, we all have been wondering, like, how does communication exactly work in the dog world?
Right. So communication is something very interesting, right? So with humans, we've developed all sorts of languages and we found a variety of ways to communicate. And today, I think in the modern day, we've grown so dependent on all sorts of languages and you know so many complexities. For animals and more specifically dogs, it's very simple, right? Communication is a very organic tool, and it's not as complex as it is for humans. Right? So first and foremost, their communication is almost 95% uh, non-verbal, right? So when you go to a school and you ask kids how do dogs talk, the first thing they'll say is bow bow bow, right? But
Right.
vocalization is only a very small part of dog communication. There are still a variety of things that they use to communicate with each other. Right? So, broadly speaking, I think they communicate using a variety of signals. So, number one, they use a lot of tone of voice. There's a lot of vocalization they use in communication. Secondly, they also use body language, and I think that's the crux of what we're talking about today. Very important form of communication. So much of what a dog is trying to say to you or to another dog or to his friend is
Right.
through body language. And last but not the least, I would also say emotion, often ignored, but maybe we'll come to that a bit later. But dogs have learned to understand our emotion over the years. So these
Right.
are primarily three ways in which our dogs communicate with us.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I think so. Before we move on to the rest of our session, I'll just quickly ask the first trivia question that we have for our audience today. The first trivia question we have is, what does the fast wagging tail of a dog signify? Your option one is frightened dog. Option two is an excited dog. I'll repeat the question. What does the fast wagging tail of a dog signify? Option 1 is a frightened dog. Option 2 is an excited dog. So you know what you have to do. Just post in the comments, and at the end of the session, we will decide who our winner for the Purina Pro Plan trivia question is. So let's move on to the next question, Karthik.
Yes.
So like when we are talking about the modern age where the dogs have been living with and around humans for so many years, have their ways of communication also evolved?
Definitely, definitely. I think the ways in which dogs would have communicated with us or with one another, generations back is poles apart from how they communicate now. It's a very interesting thing because as we all know, dogs came, they evolved from the wolf, right? And
Yes.
originally, it was just simple civilizations, and there was, no one just decided to domesticate a wolf. It just happened in a very organic way, and these dogs and wolves would kind of just hang around civilizations because they would get scrap food, and somewhere, you know, some very nice human being decided to take a step further and make friends with the wolf. And that's where this whole journey started. But we can be sure that when it started, dogs were quite confused. I think they would have been a little taken aback by the way we behave. But over a period of time, originally dogs primarily used only two things, which was your tone of voice, which is vocalization, and body language, primarily to indicate
Right.
anything, whether it's to ward off another predator, whether it's to appease another pack member, or it was to maybe indicate some sort of fear or stress that they're going through. It was entirely through vocalization and body language, more importantly. But as the years have passed, our dogs have kind of developed this ability to kind of read our emotions, right? And the
Okay.
reason for this is, um when we start domesticating dogs, right, and they've spent generations with us, it's only natural that they put in an extra effort to try and figure out what we're saying, right? So today we've got dogs being used as therapy dogs. We have dogs used as emotion support dogs, all sorts
Yes.
of such things. But this would have been such a far-fetched thing, generations back, because at that point, uh, it was very simple. The dog would just watch your body language. I mean, if you smiled at the dog, that might have looked intimidating. And till date, you will see this if you, let's say, go to a place where there's not too much of civilization. And let's say there are
Right.
a bunch of wild dogs or street dogs,
Right.
which have not had too much of human contact. And you go to them and you say, "Hello, puppy, how are you?" The dog's going to growl
Okay.
at you, right?
Oh my god, this
Because,
is something really
because
new that I'm hearing. Like,
yes, because these dogs have not really learned to understand emotion for what it is. But if you, let's say, a golden retriever, and
yeah.
over generations they've been raised in a family setting, and you go to the puppy and you say, "Hey, puppy," the puppy's going to wag his tail, run around, jump. So their ability to comprehend human emotion has also definitely evolved, and they've also developed certain, an ability to emote better over
Okay.
generations because of living with people for so long. uh,
Right.
I think, but yeah, definitely their forms of communication are very different today from what it was, and which is why training a dog today is so much more exciting, because you can use that element of emotion when you train them, when you raise them, and they tend to pick up on
Okay.
these things very fast.
Okay. Okay. That is really interesting. Actually, I was not aware of this, but yeah, quite an interesting fact, Karthik.
Yeah.
So, like we are talking about humans and dogs living together. So, are there any similarities or any key differentiators where the dog's body language compares to the human's body language?
Yeah, uh, that's a really good question. So I think at a base level, we all have very similar forms of uh, body language, right? Similar ways of communicating. If you step into an examination hall, right, and you'll see so many children around yawning, right? This is not because they're sleep deprived of anything. I'm sure
Right.
they're getting their 8 hours of sleep. but you'll see them yawning a lot, and this is usually this is actually an involuntary behavior. It is a way in which the body displays stress.
Right.
This is how one dog would indicate to another dog that they were stressed, right? And
Okay.
this is also something that we do without our knowledge. When we're stressed or when we're not breathing right, we tend to
Yes.
yawn. And
Yes.
maybe if we never had a language, right, we would be using these subtler signals to understand what
Definitely.
our friends were thinking or what they were feeling. But today we've got something like a language, right? But on a, as I said, at a base level, there are a lot of similarities. Um, things which we're doing without our knowledge. Maybe you are thinking about something really hard and you're not getting it, and scratch your head, right? And you'll see
Yes.
a dog do this very often, right? You'll see dogs that have very good skin, no ticks and fleas on their skin at all. They're just itching.
Yeah.
You're asking the dog,
Yeah.
sit down, sit down, sit down, and the dog's like this.
Right.
What
Right.
the dog's trying to say is, hey, I'm not too sure on what you're trying to ask me to do. I know there are words coming out of your mouth, but I'm not too sure what that means, right?
Okay.
So there are so many subtle things. So we do have, there are similarities, but there are also major differences for the mere fact that we are structurally very different, right?
Right.
So dogs will perceive our body language in certain ways, but that doesn't mean we can actually learn to modulate the way we use our body around dogs to make them more comfortable, make them understand that we're not a threat, make them understand a variety of things. And this is something that's overlooked, right? Because we
Okay.
don't make the effort to understand a dog's body language, we're not able to
Right.
respond in the right way.
Right.
A simple example, I'll tell you a difference, a major difference between uh, human body language and dog body language today.
Okay.
Uh, Today, in modern civilization,
Yeah.
um, if you walk up to someone and you hug someone, let's say he's your friend, right?
Yeah.
Just holding him and giving him a hug is something very normal. But
Yeah.
for a dog, this can actually be something quite intimidating unless the dog has been sensitized to it from a young age. So hugging a dog doesn't
Okay.
necessarily,
All
most
right.
dogs aren't going to take it as a hug. And you'll actually see this. If you just hug your dog, even if the dog's okay with it, you're going to
Yeah.
find he's licking his lips a lot, he's yawning,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there is a contrast in the way we express things and the way they perceive it.
Okay. Okay.
So big
Makes it
difference,
even more
but
important. Yeah,
very
makes it even
important.
more important to understand them. I think before we
Definitely.
show our affection through our ways. I think.
Yes, yes. It's very important. And I think just, we talk about listening before we speak, even when we're talking about human communication. And that's so important even with dogs. We're
Right.
constantly trying to, make them do things and expect things from them. But very often we've not heard their side of things. And in
Yes.
this case, it's not really here. It's more of observe, right? We
Right.
need to look at the subtler things that they're trying to express.
Okay. Okay. So I think we
Yeah.
have a few questions from the audience coming in.
Oh,
Uh,
excellent.
yeah. So I think the first question that we have is from Padmavati, and she's
Okay.
asking, "Is communication through body postures different for different breeds of dogs?"
Mm, that's also a very good question. So I would say body language is quite, it's the same for most dogs, but with certain breeds, right? Obviously, when we've developed breeds, we've bred them to look different from each other,
Right.
right? If
Right.
you look at a pug, let's say a pug or a Shih Tzu, right?
Yeah.
And if you take a Doberman or a German Shepherd, they're structurally very different. And for a
Yes.
person who didn't know about breeds, he would look at a pug and he'd say, "Is that a dog?" Right? Because he would be assuming a dog is very different. So
Yeah.
because they are structurally different, different breeds have evolved to use different type of signals to communicate.
Okay.
A fun, there was a very, I think there are a lot of studies on this, very interesting. Black dogs. So licking the lips is a common sign or a common signal that dogs use to indicate that
Okay.
they're stressed out about something or they're unsure
Okay.
about something. So they'll just lick their lips, right? And
Okay.
it was
This
found
is
that
common
dogs,
for black dogs.
No. Dogs in general, but
Okay.
dogs that were black in color were found to do this much more, right? The reason being,
Okay.
let's say there's a black dog at some distance from your dog, right? And your black dog is a little uncomfortable with you approaching. What is the thing that will really stand out against a black background? It's the pink tongue, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
dogs learn to use body language signals that work,
For
right? So
them,
that
the
dog might
best.
have found that exactly. So that
Okay.
dog might have found that that gesture works really well. So he's using it. Similarly,
All right.
different breeds. So let's talk about breeds without a tail, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, without a tail, again, this is only because of a man-made thing. They've docked the dog's tail, or assuming the dog does not have a functioning tail, the dog
Right,
will have to use the rest of the body more efficiently to
right,
communicate. For
right.
this sole reason, you'll find that there are subtle differences within breeds, but that's very small.
Okay.
Or if you look at the entire picture, it's one and
Yeah.
the same.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Manpinder seems to agree with that. They have noticed it with their black Labrador.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the next question is from Manpinder. He's asking if yawning in dogs are often in a day like 5 to 6 times. So is it
Yeah.
wrong?
5 to 6 times is absolutely fine and it's normal, right? Because
Okay.
see, yawning is a stress signal. I think, as you already know, it's the way in which the dog is trying to vent out excess stress. Stress is not a bad thing, right? We're all going through stress, and
Right.
mild stress is almost needed for growth. So even when you train a dog, you are putting them through small doses of mild stress to teach them something new. So a couple of
Right.
yawns a day, no problem at all. It's perfectly
Okay.
fine.
All right.
It's only when it's
Um,
excessive and
yeah.
repetitive.
Understood. Understood. So the next question is from Yashvi, and she says, "I love to pet dogs, but very recently I got bitten by a dog who I think
Yeah,
got scared or angry when I
yeah,
tried to approach him. How can I be
yeah.
sure that the dog is approachable or not?"
It's a very good question, Yashvi. And I think this was a big revelation for me also, because I love dogs well before I got into this as a profession. And, I want to pet every dog that I see. But there's a very famous saying, and I think I live by it today. It says, to be able to touch a dog is not your right, but it's an earned privilege, right?
Wow,
So
very well
always,
said.
yeah, so you always ask the dog, right? We never go and approach the dog because very often the dog's tail, the dog might be indicating in some way that, hey, I'm friendly, but might still be in doubt. You have to
Right.
give them a little bit of time and space. Always let the dog come to you. Don't go to the dog. If you are petting the dog, if the dog isn't coming to you, do not pet. If the dog happens to come to you, let the dogs get your scent. And if you happen to start, if you are petting them, never start from above the head. This is a
Okay.
common mistake. We always touch the head first. Dogs don't
Right.
like
Right.
that, right? If you reach up
Okay.
above their head, they're going to think, what are you doing? Especially if the dog's
Okay.
a little doubtful. So
All
you always
right.
start from under. And maybe it's a good idea to use the back of your hands rather than the palm, because
Okay.
some dogs can be very sensitive to touch, right?
Okay.
And using the back of the palm might be a greater idea. But again, always ask the dog first. Remember, that's the
Right.
most important.
Right, right, right. So the next question is from Niharika. My puppy Leila, Beagle, has recently
Mhm.
joined our family, and she tends to
Mhm.
stand behind us or try to hide whenever my other dog,
Yeah.
Labrador Coco, is around. Is she scared of him? How can I help if so?
Could be. It could be that she's a little worried or unsure about the other dog. See, if you are planning, this is a completely different thing. But if you're planning to make two dogs meet and one dog isn't very sure of it, try not to do it in that setting, right? I'm
Okay.
guessing that the Labrador is a little pushy and very, very playful, which might
Right.
come off as intimidating to Lila. So, might be a good idea to take them both for a walk together, get their energy levels down, and get them to meet when they're both a little more settled. And maybe it's a good idea to take the help of, a trainer or a behaviorist nearby to achieve this, because that would be a good idea.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Then I think next we have a question from Ganish Kapoor, and the question is, how do we distinguish between a stressed dog and a nervous dog?
Okay, so this is so let me tell you a little bit about stress. Stress and nervousness go hand in hand, all right, and I'll tell you. When you say a dog is stressed, a dog can get stressed for a variety of reasons, right? The dog can get stressed because he's overexcited. Even too much of excitement counts as stress, right? Imagine you're waiting for a phone call from your someone who means a lot to you, and the phone call hasn't come yet. There's a little bit of excitement that builds up in you. That's also stress. Similarly, nervousness. So let's say you're worried about something, you're you're uh, you're afraid that something might happen. Nervousness, that also counts as stress. So I would say stress is very broad, right? Under stress, we excitement, anxiety, all of this would come under stress. Over excitement, over arousal, anxiety, fear. This is
Right.
all a form of stress on the dog. So uh, no difference as such. But for a nervous dog, again, if you want to look for signals, how is it different from an overexcited dog? If that's what you're asking, nervous dog, you'll know it. I mean, you'll see the body will entirely cringe, right?
Right.
And even for an excited dog, the body might stiffen up, but there will be a complete. The dog will try to make themselves small. If you look at it broadly, the dog's trying to make
Okay.
themselves invisible to what's that's a
Yeah.
fearful dog, which is why the
Okay.
tail goes underneath, the head goes low, the ears go back. They don't want anyone to see them, right? So that's a
Right.
fearful dog. So in varying degrees, a dog that's not so fearful would probably just bend the head a little low. There might be a lick of the lip, there might be a yawn, and
Right. Right.
so variety of things. Maybe we'll again come to that in a bit more depth. I think we will cover that.
Yeah, yeah, we will be. So the next question is from Pukraj, and the question
Mhm.
is: I have a Doberman with a clipped tail, which makes it
Okay.
really difficult to understand
Yeah.
his mood, as tails are the key differentiators here. How can I
Yes.
understand him better?
Yeah, that's actually true. So again, a lot of breeds, whether it's Dobermans or Cocker Spaniels, there is still this habit of docking that happens every year and there. When you dock a dog's tail, so docking again. When I say docking, I mean the tail isn't there. When you've docked a dog's tail, they have to rely on the rest of their body. So what I would suggest you do is just start looking at the body, as a whole. The dog is still communicating. It's just he's a um, he's just not able to use his tail. So he's going to start doing some other things more significantly. What those things are, again, it is something we will be talking about. But look at the ears, position of the ears, look at the stiffness of the body, look at his eyes, the pupils, whether they're dilated, whether they're closed, whether they're open, yeah. Hello,
Hello. Um, Hello.
hello.
I think we are facing some technical glitches.
Hi, hi. Um,
Hello.
okay, I think there's a little bit of a technical glitch anyway. So,
Hello. Yeah, hi.
hi, hi.
Sorry.
Hey, hey.
Yeah,
No
there
problem,
was
no
a
problem,
technical issue at my end.
no
So
problem.
I think before we move on to the next question, I think it's a good time to ask the second trivia question for you guys
Mhm.
today. And so the trivia question two that is we have today is state true or false. A dog can smell your feelings. Option one is true and option two is false. So I'll repeat the question. Is it true or false that a dog can smell your feelings? I know, Karthik, you're tempted to answer, but you're not supposed to. It's for the audience entirely. Yeah. So let's just take the next question. The next question we have is from Manpinder. Are the color of the dog describe the nature? Example: I have seen that black Labra is bit aggressive than white and brown Labradors.
Mm, so I wouldn't put it entirely on the color. right? It would be because, see, in different parts of the country or wherever you're getting your dogs from, there are different lines, right? This is to do with genetics. Now, let's say I live in Bangalore, and let's say there are some Labradors that are being bred here, and I've got a Labrador puppy. And let's say there is a history of certain genetic tendencies in that lineage. There's a good chance my puppy is going to get it as well. Now, that could have been a black Labrador, that could have been a white or a
Right,
fawn colored Labrador, doesn't
right.
matter. So, it's not to do with the color, it's more to do with the
Okay.
lineage, because another person will tell you, is it that black Labradors are always very friendly? So you'll
Yeah,
get
yeah.
total, it all depends on
Understood.
where. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Understood. So next question is from Neha Rathi. Can all
Okay.
dogs be trained? Like beagles are said they are stubborn in nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
All dogs can be trained, of course. It's just maybe you'll have to understand the dog better in order to be able to train them to full potential. As you said, beagles can be very headstrong, stubborn. It goes back to what they were bred to do. And
right.
if you understand that and where they're coming from, you can employ a slightly different training philosophy to get what you want, right? Very often, if you train a beagle, let's say the way you train a different breed of dog, a Labrador, right?
Right,
You may not be able to get the same results. So that's
right.
where your understanding of your dog, whether it's their breed, temperament,
Well,
can really help.
okay, 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 okay. So the next question is very interesting. It's from Smriti Arya. The question is telepathy true with dogs? Does it work?
Okay, so telepathy again, I would not be the right judge. Maybe there are things I don't like to believe or disbelieve, right? So there's a good chance maybe there is some scope for it. I'm not denying it, but at the same time, uh, what I look at as telepathy is that deep connection that we all have with our dogs. And it's not about reading your dog's mind, but it's about being able to sense what's going on with them
Right,
and
right.
reciprocating, and your dog doing the same for you. And you might have noticed this many times. Dogs
Yes.
are quite good at mind reading, right? They
Mind
know your
reading.
emotions well before you do. And that's why
Right.
today, as I said, dogs have learned to understand emotion, and that's why they use this therapy dogs and emotional support dogs, and you'll find them comforting you at times when you need them the most. That's what makes them magical, right?
Right, right, definitely.
Yeah.
The next question is from Ishan.
Okay.
The question is Bozo, my 3-year-old German Shepherd, has an annoying habit of burying our things, that too
Yeah.
very often. What does it
Hmm.
indicate?
Burying your things. Okay. This is actually again a very instinctual behavior. It's a stockpiling behavior that a lot of dogs would have even in the wild. You might see it. Um, I'm not too sure if he's is he burying it very accurately, or I'm not too sure. If it's just taking it to a place, leaving it there. If you've got mud, he's just trying to kick it. It's just a very instinctive behavior. What could it mean? It's just those objects would probably mean something to him, right? Those are objects of value, so he's trying to keep it somewhere, stockpile. That's what dogs do in nature. So if it's things that belong to you, maybe he loves your scent, and or
Okay,
maybe, yeah, yeah. And some dogs I've also seen may uh, it's just a habitual thing. So anything they like, all their toys, they like to kind of go and put it in one place and keep it. So breed may matter, a lot of other things can matter, but this is what I think
right, right,
based on
right.
what you've said.
So this brings me to the next question. So
Hmm.
can you tell us a little more about the key indicators of a dog's body language, like different body
Yeah,
positions, and how basically they try to indicate what they're feeling?
yeah, yeah. So I think, yeah, that's also quite interesting, and that's actually the crux of what we're talking about. So dogs
Yeah.
are, before we start this, it's important to understand that dogs use their entire body to communicate. So it's wrong to read them just by one part, right? So if I'm just looking at a dog's tail and say, kind of generalizing the entire dog, that wouldn't make sense. So if you have with your dog, always make it a point to watch the entire body language. Don't just look at one body part, right? So a couple of things to look at. You've got body positions, you've got stiffness in the body, So how tense the body is, how loose the body is. You can see the body position or the structure. You've got tail positions, right? This, as most of you know, you can see a tail straight up. You can see a tail tucked in between the legs. It can mean different things. You've got positions of the ear. You can have the ear standing up, right in front like that, all alert, or you can have ears that
Right.
are totally pushed back. And other things would be the eyes, how much the pupils have dilated, right? Even our pupils tend to get dilated when we're under some kind of a stress, right? So dilation of pupils. You can also look at the position of the tongue inside the mouth. Is the tongue sticking out? Is the dog panting heavily? Is the mouth open? Is the mouth closed?
Okay.
So all these position of the legs, the entire body. So you look at all of these at an entirety. So I'll just tell you a little bit about each of these things I spoke about. But remember, you cannot judge the dog by just one part. Right? I'll
Okay.
start with the most obvious. You've got the tail. So generally with the dog's tail, again there are exceptions. You have to look at the stiffness of the tail. Number one, sometimes the tail is very stiff when the dog is tense, right? And you
Right.
can also see a very loose tail. A loose tail is usually a relaxed dog, whether it's wagging or it's completely down, doesn't matter. It might be a totally relaxed dog. As a matter of fact, you've got the PowerPoint, the image right there,
Right.
right? You can
Right.
see the relaxed dog has a tail down, but
Yeah.
that does not necessarily mean the dog is scared or the dog is afraid.
Right.
That's just a very chilled out dog because the tail is down. As you can see, the mouth is open. So
Right.
tail is one. Again, the tail wag. Um, so the tail wag, again, this is just to kind of bust a myth. I think, anyways, I'll speak about it. But a wagging tail doesn't necessarily have to mean the dog is friendly. This is something a lot of people don't know.
Yes.
But you will also see dogs in high states of arousal, maybe even aggressive dogs, wagging their tail. It's just the way they wag their tail, and the stiffness of their body might be very different. So you can have tail straight up, that would be very alert. You can have a tail parallel to the ground, which would just be, right in the middle somewhere. You
Right.
can have a tail tucked in between, which is a fearful dog, as most of you
Right.
um, have seen. And again, the stiffness of the tail, a tight tail always means the dog's body is in a little more tension. Just think about a
Okay.
time when you have zero stress and you're totally relaxed. Not, you will
Right.
never keep your body tight. You'll totally relax, right? So
Right.
stiffness of the tail. You've got body position. Again, when a dog is afraid or nervous of something, the entire body tries to cover in. If you look at the photo of the
Yes.
fearful dog,
Yes.
the dog's
Yes.
just completely covered in. When a dog is very confident, he's going to try and blow himself up. He's going to be standing straight and alert,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Uh, and but at the same time, if you look over there, the defensive dog, the photo of a dog that's
Mhm.
very defensive, he's standing in a very powerful stance, right?
Right.
But
Right.
again, it's hard to say from the photo. You'll have a slow tail wag. You'll see the ears standing straight up, a lot of tension in the body. So
Okay.
you have to look at the body. Other common things with the body, you can see the legs. Some dogs, when they might just lift one leg up, when they're
Yes.
sniffing something, this could mean that
Yes.
the dog is unsure about something. And if the dog is
Okay.
afraid of someone, but at the same time wants to smell them, you'll see them just trying to sniff, but at the same time, they're trying to move away. So you've
Yes.
got body position with ears. As I said, ears straight up would be alert. The reason for this is they're trying to pick up even the smallest of sounds, right? But when
Right.
a dog is, say, in a more submissive and a very timid position, you might see the ears go back, right?
Yes.
Sometimes
Yes.
even a happy dog will push their ears back. So it doesn't mean the
Okay.
dog is always afraid. So
Okay.
this is why I'm saying you can never say ears back means dog is afraid. Look at the
Okay.
fearful dog over there. The
Yeah.
ears are back. You look at the unsure dog over there. Ears are
The
back.
ears are back.
But
Yes.
you will also see sometimes a dog that's very happy push the ears back. The body is really loose. Right? When the
Yes.
dog's in a very very trusting, that kind of a mode. So you cannot just say that this is that. Uh, and then you've got the eyes. When a dog is afraid, let's say you're staring at a dog for too long, you'll find that when a dog is really getting stressed out, you'll see the pupils dilate. You can see the whites of their eyes a lot more. So if you see a dog's eye, there's a white part, same like ours, right? You can see the
Yeah.
whites a lot more. The dog is in panic. The dog is going through
Okay.
some kind of a stress. So,
Okay.
and the dog will try to avoid eye contact, will try to break eye contact, because eye contact is actually a little stressful for a dog, right?
Okay.
Unlike they live life at a much faster rate, which I'll again come to a bit later. But
Okay.
dilations of the pupil, and what else? The mouth. Usually, an open mouth is a relaxed dog. An open mouth, tongue not hanging out, but a little bit out. A happy dog, like the dogs you see on TV, for advertisements. That's a happy dog face. But at the
Yes.
same time, you'll notice a dog that's tensed will not open their mouth. They're contemplating. The mouth is closed and they're very calculated. Even in the photo, just look at the alert dog, the defensive dog, and the fearful dog. Their mouths are closed. And even the unsure dog is probably just licking his lips, right? Because
Okay.
he's unsure about things.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you just broadly look at all these things, body position, ear position, tail, the face, the dilation of the pupils, the mouth, you'll have a rough idea. But remember, you'll have to see all of this together as one unit. Only then will you read the dog right.
Yes.
And so if you have a fearful dog, the dog is basically saying, I don't want you to come close to me. Right?
Right.
Then the last thing you want to do is come close, because you're only
Come
pushing
close.
fear in that dog further. You have to build trust in other ways. So that's why it's important to understand these.
Okay, okay. So we have a question from Ananya here, and
Okay.
she's asking, my doggy Lucy tends to get really aggressive at night. It has almost
Mhm.
become a daily affair. Any suggestions on why this may be happening, or how can I correct this behavior?
So Ananya, I'll have to know a little bit more. If Lucy's a puppy or an older dog, and by when you say aggressive, I'm guessing a burst of hyperactivity. A lot of puppies have this. It can be just before a meal, just after a meal. It could be just before your walk. It could be at times of arousal for the dog when the dog's brain is expecting something but it is unfulfilled. Um, so it could be a bunch of things. Better to speak to a trainer or a behaviorist, because whatever I tell you now will not be a very accurate answer.
True, true.
You'll have to look at it in a little more depth. It's like the body language, right? The dog could
Right,
be doing it
right.
for 10 different things. You'll have to kind
We
of
need to
really
look at the
pinpoint what is
entirety.
definitely.
All right, all right. So the next question we have is from Swati, and she's asking if we are going to adopt a dog which was staying with other family, how to deal with them.
Um, uh, so if you've decided to adopt a dog, let's say the dog is being fostered by another family, I would say the first 1 week, give the dog a good cooling period, right? Because the change in environment itself is very stressful for most dogs. Give them a good amount of time. Don't rush them into things. Introduce things a little slow, but at the same time, set your patterns from the first day. Because what happens is a lot of people adopt a dog on a Friday, right? And on Saturday and Sunday, they have 24 hours to spend with their dog. And then on Monday, suddenly they're gone.
Right,
So,
right,
what
right.
the impression that it sets for the dog is, hey, my people are always going to be around. And suddenly, when you leave on Monday, it triggers problems like separation anxiety, you name it, attention seeking issues. So, let the dog know what they're in store for from day one, but be easy on them. Don't flood them with attention. At the same time, don't be devoid of it. uh,
Okay,
you know you need to be very balanced, and that's what will make them also get back to a very confident and balanced mode. If we start showing too much of oh no, don't worry, I'm going to be here for you, the dog will
right.
get into a sort of a very clingy mode, and it will only lead to more stress going forward. So if you are
Right.
adopting a dog, this is a good tip for anyone who's planning to set the dog up for the life they're going to have.
Okay,
Conduct the dog's life or the dog's day in a very calm, relaxed manner. It will make all the difference.
okay, okay. Okay, so the next question is from Sushma Jain, and
No.
she's asking, Myra, a 3 month old German Shepherd, tends
Mhm.
to bark and bite when she needs something or wants to play. How can we
Okay.
distinguish between aggressive and playful body language?
So aggression, how we term it as a trainer or a behaviorist, is aggression is the intent to cause harm, right? I can guarantee you, if the dog is asking you to play or in general, right, it is not done with the intent to cause any harm. The dog is just saying, this has worked for me in the past, and I'm just going to try. So regardless of whether the dog is doing it for play, ask the, teach the dog to ask for it in a more passive way. And
Correct.
because I'm sure this dog is not doing it in any aggressive way, but yes, the dogs learn, if I start mouthing their legs, they're going to end up giving me attention, or I'm going to get some kind of activity, or they'll start running and I'll chase them. That's a game. So just change the game. There's a saying in dog training: you control the game, you control the dog. So
Okay.
you need to
All
start
right.
selecting the game. You can play when your dog's asking you to play, but be very clear on what the game is and how it starts. So that's
Okay.
something a trainer also can come and help you out with.
Okay. Okay. All right. The next question is from Mala, and the question is: My 1.5-year-old indie male pees when he's excited. Is this normal?
Yeah. Yeah. So for some puppies, again, this starts off early on and then it becomes into a habitual sort of a thing. It's excitement urination. And over a period of time, the dog, it becomes into a pattern, like a habit. So anytime they get excited, they start to. One simple tip is, this is very difficult to do. As cute as your dog is, whenever you enter home or whenever he's meeting guests, I know you can't tell everyone this, but as much as possible, don't give them high doses of attention when you just meet.
Okay.
This is going to be very
That is
difficult, but
difficult. That is
it's
difficult.
very difficult. Yeah, it's more for the person than the dog, because then the
Okay.
dog will start learning to control their excitement. Otherwise, the dog will shoot from 1 to 10 the moment they meet you. So when you
Okay.
meet them, try to keep yourself at a slightly more, you know, don't make too much of eye contact, just be there. And even
Okay.
when you reward or praise a dog with your voice or body language, start from low to high. Don't go straight to hello puppy. You go from,
Okay.
try to go from
Okay.
hey bud, hello, how are you, and then take it up from there. It'll be more healthy
Okay.
for the dog.
Understood. Understood.
Mm.
Okay. So the next question is from Neha, and
Mhm.
the question she's asking is how to identify that what quality my dog have, general dog or therapy dog, etc.
Hmm. um So the first and foremost, you start to see, again, certain things may depend on the dog's breed, the dog's age. You start training your dog. Have a trainer come over, let them start working on some basic obedience for your dog. Let the dog start to learn a bunch of things, and slowly you'll start to see that, hey, my dog's quite good at certain things. It's just
Yes.
like when we send a kid to the school, right?
Hmm.
One kid starts to blossom in sports, and then you say, okay,
Right.
another guy is blossoming in math. So you won't know unless he starts doing. So you'll see if he's got a good play drive and he's really, loves to chase things, grab it. Maybe, you can, connect to a trainer who's well versed with working dogs and who can maybe help him shine
Okay.
on in that regard. But if you feel
Okay.
you've got such a lovely temperament, very touch tolerant dog, loves to be touched, loves attention, you might actually have a therapy dog in the making. So again, you can speak to someone who
Okay.
specializes on the same.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. It's like,
It is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it's like a little child. You see them grow and you give them outlets though. The first step is to get him into some form of training, and you start to see what he's really shining at. And
Hmm.
there you'll know what his skill set is.
Okay. Okay. So I think it was a very nice answer actually. I'm thinking how
Yeah,
my dog is good at certain things.
yeah.
So the next question that we have is from Mala, and she wants to know what are the symptoms of separation anxiety. She has an indie male, 1.5 years old.
Symptoms of separation anxiety. Okay.
Are they
Mm,
anywhere related to being stressed?
yeah.
When a dog
So
is
separation,
stressed.
it is. So any form
Okay.
of anxiety, you will see the same stress signals that will start to show. So
Okay.
if the separation anxiety or any kind of anxiety is very high, you will see more severe symptoms. You might see the dog salivating and barking till they get, totally drained
So these
out.
are very
Uh,
common symptoms for stress also, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes
Okay.
even discomfort in the body. You'll see dogs having loose stools. Let's say you've taken them to a vet, right? And your dog's very stressed at the vet. They might just poop or they might throw up. This is not because your dog has a tummy upset. It could be only because of, oh, yeah, yeah, you've got the
The
slide right
slight
there.
head, yeah, yeah, I got the slight right. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. I think I'm having some voice issue. Just give me 1 second.
Sure,
I'm so
sure.
sorry.
Okay, so while we are at it, I think it's a good time to announce the trivia question three for today's session.
Hi.
And the question we have, okay, hi. I was just
Hi,
announcing the
I'm so
trivia
sorry.
question three. No, no, that's
I
all
think I
right.
was having
That's
a
all
little bit
right.
of a network issue. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So let me just quickly announce the question three for
Sure.
our trivia contest today. So the third question that we have, final question that is there is how do dogs greet each other? So your option one is by sniffing butts, and the option two is by licking faces. I'll repeat the question. How do dogs greet each other? Option one by sniffing butts, option two by licking faces. So yeah, back to the question: stress
Yeah.
in dogs
So
and separation
correct. So
anxiety.
stress, yeah, very interesting. Stress itself is a very, I think since she's brought it up, we can talk about it here anyway because
Yeah.
very interesting to know because our dogs are constantly trying to indicate to us whenever they're in stress, right? And you've got different degrees of stress. You've got mild stress, you've got heavier signs of stress, and although the heavier signs of stress are very easy for you to understand, right? It's right there. You can see it. Like the dog might just throw up, or the dog will have loose stools, or the dog might self mutilate, right? Which means they can actually start chewing up their own skin to the point where
Okay.
they're hurting themselves. So these
Okay.
are very heavy signs of stress. But before the heavy signs of stress, right, there are always smaller signs which tend to get overlooked, right? And it's the smaller signs which repeat over a period of time and start to grow into bigger amounts of stress.
Okay.
So a couple of
Okay.
things, again, not specific to separation anxiety here, but any form of anxiety that if you see a dog is anxious, couple of signs to look out for to let you know that they're anxious would be, again, excessive panting. This is not the kind of panting that they would do when they are tired, physically tired, right?
Okay.
You'll see it's a perfectly cool day. The weather's not too hot. Maybe your dog's just gone to the vet, or your dog's just gone for a small car drive for 10 minutes and they're panting and salivating quite a lot. Tongue is totally out.
Okay.
This is a
Okay.
sign of stress. Um, Another one is self scratching, biting, just like the dog in that PowerPoint that you see. You can see dogs turning around and, you know, these small, they keep biting their skin. This can also
Okay.
be because of skin issues, ticks and fleas. But let's say you've outruled all of that. There's a good chance that there's something that's stressing your dog out in the environment. Pacing. I think a lot of you might have heard of the term zoomies, right?
Yeah.
Dogs just running up and down, running onto the sofa, running. This is also a
Yeah.
form of stress. It's actually a way in which dogs vent out the extra energy, and you'll see them do
Okay.
this maybe just after a meal or when they're
After
hungry.
a bath,
Whenever
also I've seen
after
my
a
dog
bath.
does this after a bath.
Totally. Post bath zoomies are very popular, and it's
Okay.
for the same reason that your dog is just had a stressful experience. Most dogs don't like a bath. Okay.
Yeah.
And once the
Okay.
bath is done and they've come out, the dog's just trying to vent all of that out. So they're running up and down, up and down. That's one. Chewing. Actually, chewing, when you look at all these signs, it is not one way of looking at it is yes, the dog is stressed. But the reason they do all of this, believe it or not, is to de stress. How many people do you know that they bite their nails,
Yeah.
right?
A lot.
They do it exactly. So that's an involuntary way of de-stressing. You'll see
Okay.
people being very fidgety. If you go to a classroom and you look at all of their legs underneath the bench, you'll see some kids will keep shaking it non-stop.
Yes.
It won't be in one place. It's also a form of, it could be because of
Okay.
overexcitement, anything, but it's also mild stress. So similarly,
Okay.
chewing is a form of mild stress. Also,
Okay.
increased reactivity. Yeah, dogs can, just like us, if they're stressed out, they can react a lot more. So
Okay.
it's like them being in a bad mood. Vocalizing. So a dog that's stressed out can also vocalize more. A stressed out bark will sound very different from a normal bark. There'll be a lot of panting in between, right? And
Okay.
you'll see the dog is genuinely stressed when they're barking. So while
Hmm.
you need to understand all of this, see, not all is wrong. As a matter of fact, the same signs of stress help us understand how dogs can de-stress themselves. So one of the simplest ways, a lot of trainers will say this and behaviorists, and you might have heard it. If your dog is too stressed, give them something to chew on. If your dog is
Yes.
too stressed, give them an outlet for their stress. So give them a de-stressing mechanism, right?
Okay.
Whether it's maybe getting them a Kong so they can just get some food out, or doing some kind of training that is de-stressing for them. Uh,
Okay.
why do we have to give them means to de-stress is so that they don't resort to their own means, because their
Okay.
own means sometimes can be either a little annoying for us, or it can be harmful to them in the long run, like
Okay.
chasing the tail, or
Right.
chewing their own, biting their fingernails,
Yes.
these kind of things. So a lot of people, there are also examples where the dogs have gone to the vet, right? And the vet has checked pretty much everything. And you'll have these dogs having, uh, the dog's constantly licking their paws. And the doc has said, okay, we've given the treatment, we've given the medication, but the dog just won't stop licking their paws. Very
Right.
often, the reason here might be stress. So if you just work on a couple of things to help the dog de-stress, you'll find that this gets a lot better, which again, a behaviorist should be able to help you out with. But it's important for you to know, because if you know that your dog's in stress and you're able to read their signals, uh, you can address it much earlier,
Okay.
before it becomes into a problem.
All right. All right. All right. So we have a couple more questions from the audience. The next question we have is from Kapil, and he's
Okay.
asking, I have an indie lab mixed rescue dog of around 4.5 years. I want him
Okay.
to be trained for the few basics like leash walking and staying calm. How tough
Okay.
would it be for him to get trained?
How old is he again?
He's 4.5 years.
4.5 years.
4.5 years.
So a lot of the basic things. See, I'm assuming that you don't have any behavioral issues with regards to nervousness around people, fear, or aggression of any sort. If that's not, then if you're just looking for basic obedience, you know you want the dog to kind of uh, get good on the leash. You want the dog not to pull on the leash, to understand some basic instruction. That can be done, right? Yes, it may be a little more difficult than molding a young puppy, because, like an adult human, the bricks are already laid. But nonetheless, it is definitely doable, right?
Okay.
It,
Okay.
it's possible.
All right. The next question we have is from Manpinder Singh, and
Mhm.
he's asking, whenever my dog is too excited or aggressive, I used to give him water and he gets calm after that. What all things we
Yeah.
can do apart from this?
Very nice. Actually, this is you've very clearly understood when your dog is stressed, and you've listened to your dog. You've been in tune, and you've given them exactly what they need. So it's all about asking the dog, right? What might de-stress a dog in one situation may not de-stress a dog in another. Let's say your dog is
Okay.
stressed out about another dog, and you're in the middle of a walk, and your dog is barking and lunging at another dog, and you give him a chew stick. He won't even take it, right? So certain de-stressing
Yes.
mechanisms won't even work in certain situations. But in your
Okay.
case, let's say this could be when a dog gets overheated, right? Many people have told me the dog will start in summers, right? They're spilling the bowl, they're scratching the floor, and then they're lying down on it. This is sometimes a way in which the dog just tries to cool themselves down. So
Okay.
other common, I'm not specific to heat, but in general, if you want to de-stress your dog, the easiest thing that I can just tell you right off the boat is give them a lot of sniffing or chewing activity in a day. Let them use their nose a lot more. So whether
Okay.
it's sniffing out some food or treat that you scattered in the house, and don't excite them in the process. Don't say, "Hey, there's a piece here. There's a piece here."
Okay.
Let
Okay.
them use their nose. Let them get in tune, and let them find the. This is de-stressing. A
Okay.
long, relaxing walk can be de-stressing again, because the dog is using the nose.
Yes.
Um, Chewing, obviously, as I said, give your dog some solo chewing time every day. Let them just sit and chew on their yak chew or their favorite chew, and just let them be. Just hang out with them. That also can be a good de-stressor.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so we have another question from Priyanka, and she's asking, I
Mhm.
have 2-year-old German Shepherd. Earlier, he was trained to do his business in his bathroom. Now, ever
Mhm.
since we have come back from Delhi, where he used to do his business in park, he is holding up his pee and poop. Many a times we have taken him to
Yeah.
his bathroom, but now he doesn't even want to go to that bathroom. We spent 2 months in
Mm.
Delhi. Is it long enough for a dog to forget things? Also, we tried keeping a pee dipped cloth in the bathroom, but it's not helping.
Okay. So always we look at things from the dog's perspective. The dog, usually when he's peeing there, you have to think whether he's making an association because of the scent, or he's making it because of the space, or is it because of the substrate, which is the surface. If you're able to
Okay.
pinpoint this, then probably, a behaviorist or a trainer can suggest a strategy how to get him. Since he's already an older dog, he's got good
Yeah.
bladder control, right? And if he
Okay.
wants to do it out, he'll hold it for a bunch of hours just to do that. So it's a little challenging, but it
All right.
can be changed, but it'll require a little bit of effort and fine tuning here and there. Just look at whether he's doing it. And another reason why he's not doing it in this toilet could be that you never leave the dog in there and shut the door, right? The
Okay.
experience might be very restraining. He might not be comfortable going into the bathroom casually.
Right.
So
Right.
that could be a reason, might be a spatial association. Better again to connect with a trainer on this.
Right. Right. The next question is from Anuradha, and she's asking, how does one deal with a 5-year-old indie who is possessive over my husband? He's okay when we are together, but the moment I am alone, he tends to growl and doesn't let me move.
Okay.
Okay.
5 months or 5 years?
5 year, 5-year-old
5
indie.
years, 5 years. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Uh, it's a little complicated. Again, maybe he's developed a form of resource guarding. I also suspect that there is a lot of mixed instruction in the house. That's one thing you
Okay.
can start to regulate. Mixed instruction meaning contrast of inputs, different expectations from him, right? Let's
Okay.
say one family member is giving a lot of liberties versus one
Mm-hmm.
family member is expecting a lot of rules. In usually
Okay.
such situations, we tend to see, this kind of behavior crop up. But although I'm saying this, that is only one bit of it. You will have to work with someone who is trained to handle, aggression
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
uh,
All right.
on this. Yeah.
Understood. Before we take further questions from the audience, I would request Karthik to share with our pet parents the answer for the Purina Pro Plans contest, which we posted on 10th March.
Yeah.
So our question was, when your dog tucks its tail and moves away, what is he feeling? The
Right. So,
options were feeling stress along with fear, and the second option was feeling uncomfortable. So,
okay.
Karthik, can you
So,
please let the audience know the correct
sure,
answer? A is
sure.
feeling
It,
stress along with fear, and B is feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah, so if your dog has stuck their tail and they are walking away, the dog is definitely fearful, right? It's more than
Okay,
just a little bit of discomfort. So again, it's about watching the body language. Discomfort might just make the dog turn their head in this, but the fact that there's a tugged tail
tail,
in
right.
that, yeah, it clearly indicates that the dog is very fearful and is
Okay,
afraid and is just trying to stay away.
okay. So, we have one more question from Amaresh, and he
Mhm.
asks, how to control dog on leash as our R1 pulls a lot. We see tears rolling down while post food. Why is that?
Tears rolling down, is it from his eyes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Post food.
Post food, yes.
Okay. Um, so pulling on the
While or
leash.
post food?
Okay. This tears running down, I think the first thing to look at would be if there is any underlying medical reason, because whenever you see something a little different like this, first get it checked by a vet before you analyze it from a behavior standpoint. If it is a behavioral thing, I don't know. It could be something to do with an association, but again, tearing is little rare. I have heard of instances and I've seen where the dogs do tear up when they're under some kind of stress. But if
Okay.
it's happening right after meals or during meals, I'm not too sure. Best is you check with your vet, because that's one thing you have to
Right.
outrule. I suspect that there may be something underlying
All right. All right.
on a health thing.
So
And for
here,
the
yeah,
huh? And the other, I think you had asked for the leash pulling. Uh,
yeah.
Again, it can be worked on, no problem. Leash pulling can be worked on, has to be worked on in a structured, you know, format where you spend a little bit of time. It takes a bit of time. That's why it demotivates a lot of people. They directly want to walk their dogs long distances. Right? You have
Yes.
to gradually teach the dog to understand leash pressure, to walk on a slack leash before you start increasing the duration.
Okay. Okay. We have one more question from Hiru Malhotra, and Hiru Malhotra asks, "Why my dog doesn't recognize my touch? Sometimes he bites, and I call him, he doesn't come."
Okay. He's not learned to make a positive association with touch,
Okay.
probably. I mean, maybe either I'm not too sure about any history, but he may have had a bad experience at some point, or maybe he's not been sensitized to touch. Some dogs just, especially this is common with Indies and certain dogs, they just want their own space, right? They don't like
Right.
hands on their body all the time. And
Okay.
when we keep doing it, initially they'll just walk off. But if there's constant hands, they might just snap because they get a little cranky. So the way to go forward is reduce how much you're touching your dog and gradually reintroduce touch in a very slow, systematic manner,
Okay.
which only a behaviorist can help you with. Wherever there is any kind of biting involved or the dog is doing this, it's very risky to just say a kind of a technique just over, over call. It may actually deter it rather than make it better. So good idea to work, but yes, what you have basically are trying to do is gradually reintroduce touch in a way that the dog enjoys.
All right. All right. We have one question from Smith Khadekar. Uh, Smith asks, "My 2.5-month-old Shih Tzu baby pees when she's excited. Will try your
Yeah.
proposal now. Also, I'm not sure if my puppy is okay to stay alone. I have tried to keep her alone for like an hour or more, and when I'm back, she just ignores me. Is it like revolt?"
Mm, yeah, so generally, different dogs. Again, it is stress. I wouldn't call it revolt because the 2.5-month-old puppy will not know the meaning of doing such manipulative, complex things. They do
Yes.
simple things when they're stressed. So many dogs will have stress urination, right? And after you come back, the dog is not able to digest the fact that you are not there for some time. So they might just go into a shell. It is their way of de-stressing, which you can allow for. The problem is we don't allow for these things, right? When the dog goes into a corner, we're immediately going at them and this. Um, so the excitement urination is perfectly normal. As I said, reduce the excitement when you're greeting, and the puppy is very young. As the bladder control improves by around 6 to 7 months, you should see tons of improvement on that front. But with regards to this puppy, showing any kind of a revolt, please start getting the puppy used to being left alone at this age, because
Okay.
later on it will become much more harder. So start off with short duration. As a tip, don't make your entry and exit too eventful. When you're leaving the house, don't be too dramatic about it. Also, when you come back in, try to keep it a little low. If the dog wants their
All right.
space and walks away and ignores, let it be. They live in the moment. They'll come back
Right.
in a couple of moments and they'll be lively as ever. So don't worry.
Right, right, right. Okay, so we have one more question from Aviral Jain, and the question is, "My Labra puppy gets super aggressive while playtime." Uh,
Yeah.
okay,
Aggressive again. I think what you're referring to here as aggression is that overexcitement. And Labrador puppies tend to be very mouthy. They love to hold things in their mouth, whether it's your
okay,
hand or your chappal or their toy, it doesn't
okay,
matter.
all right,
So it's his way of being, playful. Teach your dog another outlet. So teach him the right way to play with you. Encourage a game. Make the game fun. Teach him a small game of retrieve. They
right,
are born retrievers, and then start indicating to him that this is not right in a nice manner, and he'll start
okay,
learning. And this is also an age. If he's under 6 months of age, he's also going through that regular teething phase, so where you
hmm,
can gradually teach him to direct that to the right object. So I
okay,
change the game that you're playing with him. If he's being too rough with you, try not to give feedback, try not to play with him, because that will only make it more and more fun. If you start saying no, sometimes even the way you say no might become more into a game. So best is to cut off interaction if it's becoming too rash and give it to him in
hmm,
a way that's desirable.
okay, okay, understood. Quite. Interesting this was. So before I think we move on to further questions, I would like to announce the contest winners for the trivia question that we held during this entire session. So excited, guys. So the winners for today's Purina Pro Plan contest that we ran during the session were Dr. Yashaswini Kamla and Ananya Bhattacharji. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations. Good job for
Congratulations,
reading your
guys.
dogs right.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, I think we are towards the end of our session now. So, one more question from Manpinder we have here before we move on. So, Manpinder asks, whatever is near to my doggo, he starts holding it. Thank God he knows that mobile can't be hold. Okay. All right.
uh,
All right.
yeah, I mean, I think
Uh,
I don't think there is a question there, but
yeah.
the dog's being a dog. I mean, dogs want to, and they don't have hands, so
Right.
they will hold things with their
With them
mouth.
out. Yeah.
But you
That's
can tell him what's okay and what's not, provided
okay.
it's done in a nice way.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I think that is all the questions that we have until now. I think so. Yeah, it was great. Very interesting session actually. We had so many questions coming in throughout the session, and the answers
Yeah.
were really like interesting and revealed a lot of things that we were not aware of until before. So once again, guys, congratulations who won the contest. Dr. Yashaswini Kamla and Ananya Bhattacharji. Congratulations, you will win. You have won a Purina Pro Plan hamper from Purina's team, and you can inbox them directly your details, and they will reach out to you accordingly. So looks like our time is up, and we have to end the live session now. So thank you so much, Karthik, for joining us
No, no,
and helping us
my
understand
pleasure.
so much about communicating with our dogs and also a lot about understanding their body language. And thank you, pet parents who joined us and the ones who participated in the session and got their questions answered. Hope we were able to help you in some way. To the ones who missed it, don't worry, these live sessions are going to be a regular affair and we will be covering different topics in the coming sessions. So, meanwhile, you can watch this entire video on Purina's Facebook page, Purina Pro Plan India. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so
Thanks a
much,
lot.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.